He was right again, wasn't he? He was right again. Let's do some dead journalisting. We haven't done a dead journalisting for a while. So let's start. I said Falcons executives were trying to get simple because they had done the deal with Nico and they thought, quote from the sources that told me this, they thought it would be like having Messi and Ronaldo on the same team. And that's how they perceive it. And I said that in passing because I don't care about roster stories, really. I don't have to break them. I hear about them all the time. You know, I knew like Mitha was being the coach of Liquid and all this other stuff. You know, it just ends up in my inbox. And I'm super grateful to all the sources that send me that stuff. It's just like, I don't know, it would have to be a really earth-shattering move for me to sit down and type it out. Because by the time I have written a really thoughtful and considered piece, someone like Jake Lucky or Overdrive have just tweeted it out, with doing none of the due diligence and adding none of the context as to why it matters. It's a 1,000-word report versus a 20-word tweet. What's quicker and what gets more engagement, right? So it's one of those things. It's not really worth the time and the effort and the energy, and I'd rather be writing about bigger and more important things anyway. However, I do still hear these things, and so I said that. And it went into dead journalist and mode. Richard Lewis says, and so I ended up on all the websites again. Games and esports news, September 13th. Richard Lewis, a little bird told me that Falcons still want to get simple, even though they've landed Nico. I said it weeks and weeks before it went. It was just all the clout gobbling fucking Twitter agents saw the video on YouTube, fucking then just said, Richard Lewis has reported. Now, I am begging you, this doesn't apply to these guys. This is for the Twitter goblins, for the Jake Luckies, the Overdrives, that Aussie CS2, who's a fucking bellend. All of these shit accounts. I'm just begging you to learn this. I do not mind if you say, Richard Lewis said. Richard Lewis says lots of things. Richard Lewis expresses opinions. Richard Lewis shares rumours and things he's heard. Richard Lewis said. Richard Lewis did not report. I did not report. Do not, ma'am, do not report. I didn't report. A report is something I put my fucking heart and soul into. I put my name on it. It is right, and it will always be right. And if I ever think there's a chance of it being wrong, I don't report it. That is why I have a 100% accuracy record. That word matters. You don't understand that because you have run a fucking... you run a shit Twitter account where all you care about is clicks and followers. I am holding on to a 20-year reputation I will not flush away on a fucking roster move. So yeah, I did share rumours, and here you go, they've quoted me, right? The understanding is that Nico is going to go to Falcons. The question is, who's going to join him? One of my little birds did tell me this. Even though it looks like they've landed Nico, they still want to get Simple in. And this is because some executive or something at Falcons thinks it would be like having Ronaldo and Messi at the same team at the same time. Apparently, that is something that's still going on behind the scenes, which I just want to happen so bad. And even in my quote, I've said it. I'm skipping it. Nico and Simple raging at each other in the middle of the game. I need to see that. Too good. Okay. Richard added that the recent link by KRL about Nico's re-entering negotiations with Falcons, which was confirmed by other insiders, has been around in a form of a rumour for a while. People talked about it after the Copenhagen Major, where Richard worked as a desk host. And again, just to reiterate, that is absolutely true. Every player, and sources, but every player was going, well, Nico's going to Falcons, isn't he? People having beers. Yeah, Nico's off to Falcons. People in Nico, ha ha ha. And he's just got a big grin on his face. So that was in February. So anyway, dead journalisting. I made it. Okay, I was there. Also made it in BO3. Okay, BO3.gg. According to, that's fine. British analyst. I'll take it. I prefer the term legend, but analyst will do. Falcons is serious about signing two of the most famous CS2 stars, Simple and Nico. So I was in the news again, and lo and behold, by the way, that Aussie guy deleted that tweet because I quote referenced him and called him a clout goblin and said I haven't reported it. So he deleted the tweet. But in that tweet, somebody replied with, Richard Lewis is lying. He knows nothing about the inner workings of Falcons. He would have no sources there. Anything he says is a lie. Well then. And I'm really sad that that guy deleted that tweet, because now I can't find that reply, because I was going to drop a what about today, dickhead? And I'm that petty. I remember these things. So I didn't get to do that. But I was right again. Interestingly enough, it was announced. Let me get the... I'll get the HLTV official, because there were rumours circulating and then HLTV confirmed it. S1mple joins Falcons on loan. The Stars transfer to Falcons for 3 months has been confirmed. S1mple will go on loan to Falcons from Na'Vi. Both teams have confirmed with the Saudi organisation, adding that it will be for 3 months. We're going to talk about who he replaces in just a moment. The 26-year-old takes SunPayus' place on the starting 5. The Spanish Orper had been Falcons' highest-rated player, averaging 1.13 during his 9 months on the team. So, the same sources hit me up, and they said that basically the reason it's a loan deal is it behooves everyone. Falcons were a little bit reluctant to pay the full buyout. Na'Vi didn't want him to go for, they weren't going to let him out for free, but they also understand they're not going to sell him if he's not playing, because nobody knows which version of S1mple we're going to get. So all the stuff that was happening behind the scenes when I originally got told was they were trying to hash out a deal, and this is a money deal, I'm told. I've told they paid a fee for the loan for 3 months, as they did prior, where he played literally 1 series. And so basically there will be an option at the end of 3 months to buy him permanently at a reduced rate, at a reduced buyout. That's what's been agreed. My understanding as well is S1mple... he did have a couple of other offers, but apparently he's chosen this one because he's been assured, should he enjoy playing there, they are going to rebuild the team, essentially, around him and Nico. That's how that's going to happen. So, initially, look, I'll just say this right out the gate. I'm a fan of this game. I know that people find it hard to believe. I'm a fan of the sport, I should say, not the game. And I just want to see S1mple play again. It's been too long. And I know he needed a break, and I know he's got, fucking all sorts of issues going on. No player should have to deal with. His country's a fucking war zone. There's a chance if he goes home, he could be fucking drafted. Yeah, he's of that age. He's of military age. By the way, military age doesn't really even fucking mean anything in this conflict on either side. They're just throwing fucking warm bodies onto the front line, and S1mple wouldn't be any different. Should he return home, it's entirely possible he could be expected to go. I've seen some pretty heartbreaking videos of people being dragged off. His own fan base has been abusing him for not going to the front lines, which I don't understand. Don't understand why you would want your favourite player to potentially get shot, but whatever. He's had a building near his family got hit by a rocket or something. So he's had a fucking tough time. I mean, listen. He's still a prick when it comes to competition, but he's gone through stuff no player should have to go through. And so I get it. I get why he has had a break for so long, and I'm glad he got it, because his box must have been under a lot of fucking pressure, and it's hard to focus. Those things transcend the sport. But I will say the break has probably been too long. When we saw him rifling for Falcons on the previous loan, he was bad. Bad by his own high standards, but bad just by rifling standards. And he says he doesn't like CS2, but he has got back to kind of grinding it. He said he wants to be a rifler in this game. He's replaced an AWPer on this team. He'll probably hybrid. I just want to see him back, and he needs a run of games. He's been gone for too long. There's no guarantees you ever come back when you take breaks this long. S1mple's the greatest. If he's able to come back and even be 70% of what the player he was, then that's great news for Falcons. That's great news for CS. So, while my views on Falcons are known, while my views on Na'Vi are known, I feel like this is a move that works for everybody. There is no way back for S1mple, unfortunately, in Na'Vi. There isn't. He cannot rejoin that team. That team has been probably the team of the year. What Blade has done there is exemplary. What those players have achieved with an international roster is incredible. You can't just break that apart just to placate a big star. So he's replacing an AWPer on this lineup. Now, let's just talk about the replacement. I don't know what's going on in Falcons, but I am going to say SunPayus should not have been the one sacrificed. It doesn't make sense because there's still an upside to this player. And it should have been Madden or Dupree. It's not just about stats. It's about when you invariably rebuild this team, which parts can belong to a future lineup. That's what you have to think about. And so, like, I love Dupree, but he was signed on a short-term contract. He was always meant to be a stand-in for the super team that they were meant to be building for 2025. So you could just cut him now and keep SunPayus, who, as they said, has been your highest ranked player since you bought the Ents core. Now, I'll also add, he's been very hit and miss. I mean, he's been massively inconsistent. He's had some stinking games, and when you're the AWPer, they really fucking stand out. I mean, he has definitely had some fucking nightmare series, like you'll be able to see here. Let me, I mean, and not against particularly great opposition either. But when he takes over a game, he takes over a game like great AWPers can. And if you look at that, I mean, it's sad as well, like his last fucking map is that 0.59, which does make me wonder what's going on. Because I'll also add this. I think the comms and the behaviour from this team, I think it's disgusting. I think they look like a bunch of petulant children, and I include Zonic and all of that. I think that group of players, they've all been backbiting, bitching, comms have been awful, and the one thing you can safely say is that Magisk and Zonic are basically the ringleaders of it. It's apparent from fucking all of the clips, you know, they're shouting at each other, they're saying ridiculous things. We had the Boros situation. By the way, Boros was right to be cut, but an org putting that out there into the public domain and then trying to like cover it up and edit it, they looked at all of that and thought that was fine. Right? So there has to be professionalism around this. Like, look, things aren't working at the moment, but we'll get the best out of it. Yes, long-term plans are we're going to replace you, but while we're here, what can we do to get the best out of you? This is how you have to treat this stuff. If you've ever coached a sport, you don't just tell your poor performers they're fucking garbage every time and then just, like, look to replace them. You know, that, like, disciplinary issues are different, but you know, performance issues. A coach is meant to coach performance. Like, you're meant to improve it. You're meant to find a way to get the best out of the tools that you have. That's what it is. And I haven't seen that from this. They've just looked like a bunch of fucking babies. Arguing, fighting, backbiting, bitching, sniping at each other in the media. And then SunPayus gets cut. Well, what am I supposed to think about that? Now, I'll also 100% tell you, Snappy's gone. Magisk is going to be the IGL. Him and Zonic are simpatico. They're going to be fucking... That's how that's going. Like, I feel sorry for Snappy. He's bad, but I don't know how you could call for this. Let's understand. Let's just go back to the genesis of this team and what happened. Falcons were meant to come in and buy a super team. That's what they said they were going to do, right? Zonic lied publicly and said, I'm going to give everyone a chance. And then they immediately cut that roster and then embarrassingly had to bring some of them back and then cut them again, which no one seems to have a problem with that. He said it wasn't going to be a retirement home, like weeks before they brought in Dupree, right? So just more things in the column for why does Zonic get no criticism? Just questions you might want to ask yourself. And they thought they had Nico. And there were rumors that it was like Nico, Munisi. Oh shit, they're cooking. Like, whoa, what? Imagine it. Nico, Munisi, Simple, fuck, Magisk, fucking hell. What is this? That was what was promised. That was what was being talked about. That was what they wanted. Then Nico fucking turned around and said, actually, fuck it. I have to get the mega bag to leave G2. Not just a big bag. Not just a bag I could fucking climb in and do up from the inside. I need a bag so big I can have a car in here with me. I can have a fucking big screen TV inside of this bag. That's what I need, because I know you got that money. And they didn't like that, because they were like, I thought we had a deal, lads. I thought we had a deal, fellas. And so he ended up going back to G2 with a nudge and a wink saying, come get me later. That's why people were talking about it in February. And then they went on fucking the media and said, Nico was the problem. We only want players who want to be here and want to have the chance to work with Zonic, knowing, by the way, that they were going to require him at some point in the future. And so, this is a mess. This is a fucking mess. And then, last minute, they had to go out and get a team. And Ents were trending and doing well at the moment, so they took the Ents core. And everyone went, meh. Meh. What a fucking meh. The Ents core, Magisk, and Boros. Meh. And you can also believe this if you want. I also know from the same sources that told me that about the simple thing that they told Zonic he couldn't cut Boros. He had to use him. He had to give him a chance. Which is why all that resentment was there. The execs wanted an Arabic-speaking player because they thought it would be good for PR, good for media, good for content, good for business. That's what they wanted. And so Zonic never... That's why they put Boros in all the shit positions. Did you ever wonder why, like, Snappy was playing in these, like, fragging positions and Boros wasn't? He was set up to fucking fail. Now, also, I strongly believe he's, not... I don't think he's particularly... How can I put it delicately? I don't think he's necessarily intellectually capable of being a pro player there. But he was set up to fail by the team around him. And he's obviously incapable of being a pro, by the way. Even Smooya fucking cut him. Even Smooya looked over and went, that's a bit unprofessional, dude. Like, you got to turn up to practice in that, yeah? Can you set an alarm? All right, fuck this. So this team, once again, we're looking at, it's not just malevolent behavior, it's incompetence. And I can't believe a team would do what they've done with a player just because they didn't want him on the roster. All right, fuck it, we'll just sabotage him. It's wild. Again, don't take my word for it. Ask any of your favourite analysts who know about the game. Ask any of the pros to go back, look at where everyone's playing back when Boros was on the lineup, and ask yourself about the positions on the maps. Just do it. It's a good little thought exercise for you. Anyway, so this team has stank. And this team has issues internally, issues just educationally in terms of like how they approach the game. They make so many elementary mistakes. It's no wonder they're losing games. And also, this is probably the first example I've ever seen of an org buying a team they know that is dead, that they don't want, simply so they can get into the tournament circuit by virtue of having one. This was the Metallica and Lovecraft coming together. The team that should not be. That's what this is. It just shouldn't exist. And so now we are rebuilding. We are building from the ground up. I feel super sorry for SunPayus. I don't think he did anything wrong. But Dupree's not going to be there long term. Snappy's definitely not going to be there long term. Magisk will be taking over as IGL. And I do genuinely believe that Dupree got the pass over SunPayus, even though S1mple has said he wants the rifle, just because of the Danish bias. Now, that's just an opinion. I've not been told that by anyone, but that's how it looks to me. Because Dupree's the obvious one to cut. He's at the end of his career. Yeah, I know S1mple has said he wants to AWP now at the same time he joins a team that's replaced the AWPer. It's good. Yeah, I get that. I do understand. Yeah. Coincidentally. There's a lot of speculation that he won't be AWPing long term. That m0NESY is going to go. People are still talking about this G2 sale of m0NESY to Falcons. I don't know if that's true or not, but it's possible. Him and Nico are really, really close. So we will wait and see. And so the question now becomes team chemistry. Well, as they used to say on Scooby-Doo, jinkies. I don't know. I mean, Nico is a much more mature, fiery character, but he has evolved and matured. I actually think Nico has a pretty good temperament, provided you're not a table. But S1mple, not at all. He's the same guy. He's the same dude he's always been. There never was no new S1mple. I kind of feel that when he went through that phase of always blaming himself, that was like the absolution for what we have now, which is S1mple's just always been the same dude. He will never understand why you can't understand the game like he can. He will never get that. He'll never get that, and he'll never forgive you for not being able to do it. It's like, geniuses do get blind spots for things. It's true. So he doesn't get it. He'll never understand it. He'll never, it's just one of those things. So I know he respects Nico. I don't sense the tension there. I think the tension comes from if he doesn't like a Magus call. Also, Snappy's going to have Snappy just needs to don't do it to yourself, brother. Don't do it to yourself. Don't do it to yourself. Stand down now. just, it's not worth the headache, mate. You'll end up on fucking blood pressure medication. You'll be fucked with this. Call in for S1mple, who knows you're on borrowed time. No chance. No chance. Why would you do it to yourself? S1mple's gonna fucking absolutely make your life hell. So, I don't know. Now, as a signing for a view with a super team in mind, a team of Magisk, Nico, S1mple, potentially Munacy, I mean, that's mental. That's like the OG phase super team. That would be the greatest collection of talent under one roof ever. And listen, it wouldn't surprise me if all of that happened. But S1mple isn't going to stick around unless that happens, because he's not playing with Madden and Debris and Snappy long term. So you have to assume what this loan deal signifies is that they are going to do it. And if they do it, reluctantly, Falcons will probably be the number one team in the world. And it'll be sad. It'll be a sad day for Counter-Strike when that's true. But true it will be. We will wait and see how that goes. But, I mean, I told you it was coming. A lament for SunPayus. I'll just say this as well at the end. If Jason Lake has the money, which I don't know if he does, because he's looking for sponsors and partners right now, you immediately, as Complexity, sign SunPayus for Holzerk. 100%. If you do that, mate, that is an upgrade, and it's an obvious upgrade. That would be perfect. I know Holzerk signed a new contract and probably wouldn't have a lot of buyers, unfortunately for him, but this is the way the cookie crumbles. So SunPayus is such an obvious upgrade for Complexity. They should go and get him. I'm not vibing with him replacing Brokey to the guy in chat who thinks that's a good move. That's not a good move.